There are 7 principles in God's miracle money blueprint, and most faithful Christians are unknowingly fighting all 7. Not because they're rebellious, not because they lack faith, but because they've been taught a version of biblical finances that actually works against how God designed provision to flow. So you're tithing, but fighting the blueprint. You're praying, but fighting the blueprint. You're working hard, but fighting the blueprint. And you're exhausted, confused, wondering why the windows of heaven have not opened up, even though you're doing everything right. Here's what nobody tells you. Struggle with money is not a faith problem, it's an alignment problem. You're rowing upstream, and no amount of rowing harder is going to change the fact that you're going the wrong direction. I know because I fought the blueprint for years. Even after I became a Christian, even after I started tithing, even after I did everything right, and I stayed broke. Then I discovered the miracle blueprint, God's actual design for how provision flows, and everything changed. From broke beach bum to $1 million village with $5,000 in the bank, from hustling for scraps to supernatural acceleration, not because I got more faithful, but because I stopped fighting the blueprint and I started using it. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the 7 principles of God's miracle money blueprint, the 3 ways you're unknowingly fighting it, and the exact shift that moves you from resistance to alignment. Because the blueprint is already working. You're just rowing in the wrong direction. So let me show you how to turn that boat around. Point number 1, what the miracle blueprint actually is. It's because most Christians have never been taught this. They've been taught budgeting, saving, avoiding debt. All good things, but that's not the blueprint. That's money management. God's miracle money blueprint is how provision flows from the source. Miracle is an acronym, 7 principles that govern how provision flows. M equals meaning. Divine assignment precedes provision. God funds what he authors, not your ideas. I is integrity. Alignment produces trust. Congruence between your life, business, and kingdom unlocks provision. R is reframe. Mind renewal breaks scarcity. Your money reality mirrors your money mindset. A is authority. Obedience activates provision. Faith acts before seeing the result. C is consecration. Money on the altar becomes sacred, not strategic. What's consecrated cannot enslave you. L is leverage. Systems multiply stewardship. God blesses multiplication, not just hustle. E equals entrustment. Provision exists to expand service. You get more because you're trustworthy, not because you deserve it. So that's the blueprint. Now, you don't need to master all 7 at once, but here's the problem. Most Christians are actively fighting the 3 most foundational ones without even knowing it. And that's why provision doesn't flow. So let me show you which 3. God's miracle money blueprint is not about working harder or being more faithful. It is about aligning with how he already designed provision to flow. The blueprint is working. The question is, are you using it or are you fighting it? And if you don't know the answer to that question, if you've never been taught these 7 principles, you could spend your entire life fighting a system that was designed to bless you, rowing upstream, exhausted, and wondering why. Now, here's where it gets convicting. Let me show you the 3 ways that you're most likely unknowingly fighting this blueprint. Point number 2, the 3 ways that you're fighting the blueprint. Most Christians are not intentionally fighting God's blueprint. They're just operating in a system that they were taught. A Babylon system disguised as biblical stewardship. I know because I did it for years. I remember the moment I realized I was fighting the blueprint. I was sitting in my office, looking at my bank account. I just closed a 6-figure deal. I was tithing. I was praying. I was doing everything right, but I had 0 peace. I was exhausted, anxious, constantly worried about the next deal. And I heard God say, Jonathan, you're rowing upstream. The blueprint is working. You're just working against it. And that messed me up because I thought I was doing it right. I thought more faith plus more hustle equals more provision. But I was fighting 3 foundational principles without even knowing it. Let me show you the same 3 that you're probably fighting right now. Now, there's 7 principles total, but there are 3 that are absolutely foundational. If you get these wrong, the other 4 don't even matter. And most Christians are fighting all 3. So here they are. Fight number 1, you're seeking provision before assignment. Fighting meaning you're asking God to bless my business. God, give me more money. God, help me get this deal. But you never asked, God, what are you already blessing? What have you authored? You're trying to get provision for your plans instead of asking God what He's already funding. That's rowing upstream. The blueprint says, meaning, assignment, precedes provision. You don't get money for your ideas, you get money for His assignment. When I was broke, I had 100 good ideas. None of them produced provision. Then I asked, God, what are you already blessing? And He showed me. For me, it was teaching others and building a community in Costa Rica. I stopped trying to force my plans. I started stewarding His assignment. Provision accelerated immediately. Fight number 2, you're consecrating 10% but hoarding 90%. Fighting consecration. Most Christians tithe. That's good. That's obedience. But then they treat the other 90% like it's theirs. I gave God His 10%, and the rest is mine to do what I want. That's fighting the blueprint. The blueprint says all of it is God's. The tithe just proves that you know that. Consecration is not about giving 10%. It's about declaring 100% belongs to God. I'm just the steward. And when I shifted from I give God 10% to I steward 100% for God, everything changed. I could give freely. I could invest boldly. I could rest deeply. Why? Because none of it was mine to protect. It was all His to multiply. And fight number 3, you're trying to build kingdom in Babylon structures, fighting integrity. You're operating in LLCs, S Corps, 501c3s, legal structures that actually belong to Caesar, not God. You're building in Babylon's jurisdiction while praying for kingdom provision. That's like planting seeds in concrete and wondering why nothing is growing. The blueprint says integrity, alignment produces trust. You can't build kingdom assignment in Babylonian structures. I learned this the hard way. I was making millions in real estate, all in LLCs, all in Babylon's jurisdiction, and I was enslaved, taxes, lawsuits, government control, stress, and then I learned about divine law. The 508c1a, ecclesiastical structures, private membership associations, trust. I moved everything under God's jurisdiction, not Caesar's, and provision accelerated while stress decreased. Why? Because I stopped fighting the integrity principle. I aligned my structures with kingdom, not Babylon. So these are the 3 ways you're unknowingly fighting against God's miracle blueprint. 1, seeking provision before assignment, fighting meaning. 2, consecrating 10% but hoarding 90%, fighting consecration. And 3, building kingdom in Babylon structures, fighting integrity. And here's the tragedy. You can fight the blueprint for decades and never know why provision is not flowing. Not because God's withholding, but because you're rowing upstream. And if you keep fighting it, if you spend another 10 years seeking provision for your plans, hoarding the 90%, building in Babylon structures, you're going to die exhausted, wondering why God never blessed you. When the whole time the blueprint was working, you were just working against it. So here's the shift. Here's how you stop fighting and you start flowing. Point number 3, the shift from fighting to flowing. The shift from fighting the blueprint to flowing with it is not complicated. But it does require you to humble yourself and admit, maybe I've been doing this wrong. So let me show you the exact shift and what actually changes when you make it. Shift number 1, stop seeking provision, start seeking assignment. Instead of praying, God bless my business, ask God, what are you already blessing? Instead of God give me this deal, ask God, is this deal a deal that you authored? Instead of God, I need more money, ask God, what assignment requires this level of provision? When you shift from seeking provision to seeking assignment, provision becomes the byproduct. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. When I made this shift, I stopped seeking provision, started seeking assignment. Here's what changed. Stopped chasing 100 different deals, started asking, God, what are you already blessing? And He showed me. He showed me teaching, coaching people, building this village here in Costa Rica. I focused only on what He authored, and provision showed up that I couldn't have orchestrated. Like the 94-year-old war veteran who sold me a $200,000 property for $10. I didn't manifest that. God authored it. I just stewarded it. Shift number 2, stop hoarding. Start stewarding all of it. Stop treating the 90% like it's yours. Put 100% on the altar. Declare, God, all of this is yours. Show me what to do with it. This doesn't mean give it all away. It means hold it all with an open hand. When I made this shift, Here's what changed. I could give $10,000 to a small church pastor without any fear. Why? Because it wasn't my $10,000. It was God's, and He showed me to sow it there. That $10,000 covered the exact cost of his new roof when the Category 5 hurricane destroyed the church. Again, you reap what you sow, not always where you sow. Shift number 3, stop building in Babylon and start building in the kingdom. Move your business under divine law, 508c1a, private membership associations, and ecclesiastical trusts. Get out of Caesar's jurisdiction. Build in God's jurisdiction. This is not about avoiding taxes, though that is a benefit of it. It is about alignment. You can't build kingdom assignment under Babylon's authority. When I made this shift, here's what changed. My businesses moved under divine law. Provision accelerated. Stress decreased. I went from enslaved to empowered. Doing the same things, but I'm in a different jurisdiction with a different outcome. That's what happens when you stop fighting and you start flowing. If you want to know about divine law, you can go to divinelawbook.com and get an awesome book written by the king of his thing, world-renowned expert on the Trinity model. His name is Bradley Logan. Go check it out. So the shift from fighting to flowing is simple. 1, seek assignment, not provision. Align with meaning. 2, steward 100%, not just tithe 10%. Align with consecration. 3, build in kingdom structures, not Babylon. Align with integrity. When you make these 3 shifts, you stop rowing upstream, you turn the boat around, and you start flowing with the blueprint instead of fighting it. And here's what happens. Provision accelerates, peace increases, assignment becomes clear. You're no longer exhausted wondering why God's not blessing you. You are flowing with how He designed it to work in the first place. But if you don't make these shifts, if you keep seeking provision instead of assignment, hoarding instead of stewarding, building in Babylon instead of in the kingdom, you're going to fight the blueprint for decades, and you'll never understand why the windows of heaven never opened wide up. Not because God withheld it, but because you just never turned the boat around. If you're realizing right now that you've been unknowingly fighting God's miracle blueprint, if you are tired of rowing upstream, if you are ready to stop fighting and start flowing, I wrote an entire book on this. It is called Miracle Money, and it breaks down all 7 principles of the miracle framework in depth, not just what they are, but how to align with each one. Go to miraclemoney.com right now, grab yourself a copy. This video gave you the overview, and the book gives you the implementation. So stop fighting, start flowing, miraclemoney.com. Go get it. And until next time, always remember, who you are makes a difference. The world is a much better place because you exist. Thank you for being you. Thank God for you. Thank God for us. Go team. Together we're becoming abundant enough to end poverty.